Hello and welcome everyone to this week's COT review. I'm Thomas from COTbase.com. Today we're going to have a look at the 19th Commitments of Traders report of 2013. As usual, we're going to start off with the changes in commercials positions and have a look at coffee, where we had a 41% change in commercials positions. We had a large change size last week. This week I believe we have an even greater change. What's interesting to see is that large speculators have just moved above zero line. They've been in net long territories for a very short time, for a few weeks, but just barely above the zero line over here. So it's interesting to see them going back to roughly 5,000 contracts on net long levels. Let's have a look at the 5-year chart, and I'm going to show you how extreme this market is. We're moving away from these extreme territories. As I told you a couple of times, that the fact that commercials are net long is a bullish signal in coffee. Basically, they've been net long over here. That coincided with a bottom in prices, and we had a similar case over here. And I'm expecting, as commercials are going down to net short, deep net short territories, that may easily coincide with a rally in prices. Let's move on to 5-year note. We have a 24% change over there in commercials positions. You can see the change size over here, much larger than average. Let's have a look at similar changes back in the past. We have one over here that's just coinciding with a bottom, relative bottom over here. Then another example over here, and a few more back on this 1 year's chart. The largest change size, of course, is easily visible over here. And that again coincided with a bottom in prices. So I believe changes in this market do signal price actions really well. Let's have a look at the 5-year chart, of course, and see whether we've got an extreme in this market. You can see that we don't really have one in 5-year note this time. Moving on to Swiss franc, we have a 20% change over there in commercials positions. That's a relatively large change size concerning this is a currency. You can see the change over here, much larger than average. Opening a 5-year chart, we're going to see whether we have an extreme in Swiss franc or not. You can see that we had this level pretty much a couple of times in the COT charts, and that effectively signaled bottoms whenever commercials reach this level. You can see these examples I'm showing you. And these effectively put a end to short-term declines in prices. So question is whether we are going to be moving upwards from here, or we need to wait for an even greater extreme that may come when commercials are at roughly 50 to 60,000 contracts net long levels. Let's move on and have a look at the large speculators COT Extreme. Here we go. Feeder cattle, heating oil, and NASDAQ on top. Let's open feeder cattle first. We have all-time signals in commercials and large speculators. Okay, so we're going to open the 5-year chart right away and see these extremes. And of course, look at past cases when we had such extreme levels in the COT report. You can see the last one over here beautifully signaling a bottom. Then we've got one over here. And another one, and another one. You can see these signals are pretty effective in feeder cattle, so we may easily see the end of this decline over here, and we can expect prices to go higher. Moving on to heating oil, another market where we have all-time signals in commercials and large speculators at the same time. Okay, we're opening the 5-year chart. Let's see this extreme. Here we go. You can see this extreme is pretty wide. The last time we had such an extreme level was over here, and again one over here and here. Of course, we're always looking at very similar past cases and try to assume that we're going to be expecting the same price reaction at such extreme levels. So again, this is a bullish signal. We may see prices going higher from here. In the medium to long term, maybe. Moving on to NASDAQ, our last market this week. All-time signal only in large speculators positions. All of this after a very large rally in prices. Opening the 5-year chart, let's see this extreme. Here we go. So you can see commercials are not there yet, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to see any reaction in prices. We may see the widening of this extreme before we get to the top. But anyhow, I'm just going to show you the last couple of cases when we had such extreme COT levels in NASDAQ, when this happened, that basically coincided with a top in prices. So again, we may expect the same thing happening sooner or later in NASDAQ. You know what? I'm going to show you one more market. I'm guessing we still have some time for gold, but that's really going to be our last market, where we had a 231 report extreme in large speculators positions, 234 report extreme in commercials positions. Okay, all this happening while we see prices going back to bearish mode. Prices are declining. As I've told you before, the interesting thing in this market is that small speculators are net short. That wasn't the case for quite some time now. So that's basically meaning that small speculators are very pessimistic about this market. And usually small speculators are wrong. And it doesn't mean that they're going to be wrong again. Easily may happen that prices just fall even more from here. But one thing's for sure, the extreme is pretty wide, and we may expect something dramatic to happen. Okay, that's our last market for this week. If you would like to have a look at other COT charts, you can do so at our COT charts page. If you're interested in a more in-depth and detailed COT analysis, then check out our subscription service at cotbase.com, where you can add other really important and useful functions to your table. You'll look at new COT report types, data types. Of course, you can analyze even older reports. So all sorts of very useful functions. I hope you enjoyed my review this week, and I hope to see you next week. Have a great weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.